I have over 800 hours on the finals, and this is hands down my favorite video game of the last 5 years. I've poured hundreds of hours into producing content for the game as well. That's over 1,000 hours, and the game only came out last December. I've even hosted the 2 largest community tournaments for the game, so it's safe to say I like the finals more than most people. I have never once felt burned out playing or creating content for the finals. I truly love every second I play the finals and never considered switching games. It's an authentically fun game with so much untapped potential, but the finals in its current state is not the game I fell in love with. It's almost completely unrecognizable. For starters, they removed my favorite game mode of the finals when the game launched, 48-player cash-out tournament. We no longer have 48-player, 16 modes, nor do we even have traditional cash-out whatsoever. In exchange for ranked cash-out and 48-player cash-out tournaments, we received 2 modes, World Tour and Terminal Illness. Terminal Attack was a fun limited time mode as a casual experience, but if I had to summarize Terminal Attack, it'd be like this.
What the fuck is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
How this catastrophe made it to live is beyond human comprehension. Aside from all the issues plaguing the game mode, my question is rather simple. Did Embark really need to remove Cash Out Ranked from the game in exchange for Terminal Attack? I find it hard to believe no Cash Out mode or Ranked Cash Out at all is somehow better for the game in the short or long run. Of course, Embark went on video and in their Discord to spin as much as they could to promote Terminal Attack. They said this was going to be a better competitive experience that was more balanced and even more fun for the casual player. PR was full throttle ahead, and as a golden rule for anyone new to game development, whenever PR is this aggressive and in synchrony, it's typically a massive red flag. I've seen this time and time again from many failed game studios and companies. When you're about to release something absolutely awful, you crank up PR to the maximum in an effort to sell your product to the most desperate and vulnerable customers. My question is, has Embark learned anything from all of this? At the end of the day, all that matters is that we learn and grow from this calamity and prevent it from repeating itself. I'm about to play some clips where Oscar attempts to justify their current position and sympathize with us.
We've heard the feedback, right? We have understood very loudly that that ranked Terminal Attack isn't everyone's favorite way to play ranked in the finals. We can obviously not remove a ranked game mode in the middle of a ranked season.
Okay, but why can't we add Cash Out Ranked back in the middle of the season? Why can't we add back casual cash out? Why can't we have normal cash out back in private matches? These questions remain unanswered.
We have players who have played a lot of TA, ranked Terminal Attack. We have players who made a progression, we have people who climbed the ranks. We can't invalidate their efforts by removing a game mode in the middle of a season.
This is a tangent, but they clearly don't care about invalidating a player's playtime. They just invalidated tons of World Tour players who hit Gold 1 before the recent patch, when they significantly increased the amount of win points you get per match. They then doubled down and significantly decreased the amount of wins needed to climb through Emerald. So let's not pretend Embark's priority is protecting the validation of your playtime and effort. We'll tackle World Tour in a little, but let's get back to Oscar's apology.
So what we are going to make sure is that at the very start of Season 4, there will be a competitive experience in place for those that are real fans of competitive cash out, right? I'm not saying that we're killing ranked Terminal Attack in Season 4, but what I'm saying is that we need to make room for competitive cash out, and that's what we're going to try to do.
So basically what Oscar says is Season 4 will have some game mode where cash out is competitive. Wording is super important here. Remember, Gravity has S-tier PR glasses. When I have them on, I can see right past the PR and look at the actual words being said and promises being made. By Oscar's own words, it seems like Ranked Terminal Attack will return in Season 4 as the primary game mode, but there will be a different game mode for competitive cash out. If there was going to be a ranked cash out alongside Terminal Attack, why not just say that? The reason this wording is concerning to me is World Tour was advertised as a high-stakes, intense mode, but we now know World Tour is the least competitive cash out experience we've had since launch. Oscar's apology was scripted for weeks and every word was intentional. I want to play one more clip of Oscar, then we'll move on.
But Terminal Attack offers many things that makes us believe that it would be the preferable game mode for ranked. First of all, it's 2 teams. Secondly, the pacing of the round-based gameplay makes more strategic gameplay. Ultimately, we do believe though that Terminal Attack offers things that makes it for a better competitive experience, and that's why we're making this change.
This clip proves Embark has very poor judgment on how changes impact the player experience and what the player experience should even look like. I don't believe Embark's intentions are bad at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They have a lot of experience and talent on the team, but this is a clear systemic failure. They promoted this game mode and tried to lure in more players for Season 3. Thankfully, they failed miserably. I've always said if you genuinely care about the game, you have to be brutally honest even when it hurts. It's the best way for good feedback to reach the developers and for the game to mold into a better version of itself. If we all lied and said Embark did their best with Terminal Attack and it's a blast, chances are we would not be getting a competitive cash-out mode next season. I feel like we don't have to tackle how awful Terminal Attack is. This game mode has 0 balance and 0 matchmaking. I have many examples where a team full of silvers queues into a team full of plat, diamond, and ruby players. Lights dominate the mode, and it's a remarkably boring and unbalanced mode. Everything from map pool, balance, objective rule set, and wait times are all awful. This mode had no reason to make it to the live game as the only ranked game mode. This mode is not the finals. Here's when the alarm bells really start ringing for the finals and you realize just how bad things really are. Terminal Attack is not the finals, but World Tour doesn't even feel like the finals anymore. They've begun making changes to the World Tour rule set in an attempt to remove third partying and make the game mode more exciting. But this has also been a massive failure. I've said since the beginning, you cannot remove third partying from a game like this. It's just going to happen. No matter how much you twist and bend the core of the game to please casual players who complain about third partying, you are not going to create a perfect and safe experience for them. Third partying still runs rampant in the finals, and the game mode is even less balanced after all of these changes. So what cost is Embark willing to pay to make the game mode appealing for a small fraction of the community? I would be more supportive of these massive sudden changes to the mode if we had some sort of mode to compare to or play alternatively. Embark said they removed cash out from the game so they could improve the mode. But how are we supposed to compare when there is literally no cash out in the game except for World Tour, which genuinely feels less and less like cash out every match? Embark is sacrificing the quality of their game to please people who don't exist, and even if they did exist, they're failing miserably. I won't bring up the Steam numbers or Nexon's recent earnings call, but the finals is not performing well at all, at least in the eyes of Nexon and Embark. Why can't I at least play normal cash out in private matches with my friends? Or why can't we have unranked cash out tournament back? If we just had one other cash out mode, making changes to World Tour would make a lot more sense. In my opinion, some of the recent World Tour changes do make for a slightly better casual experience, but they could never work in a ranked environment. Season 4 is just around the corner. What rule set is Embark planning to use for this new competitive cash out mode we're getting? If the current World Tour rule set was the ranked rule set, I would not enjoy it nearly as much, and I don't think others would either. There's too many matches where you simply can't win before the game even ends because they reduced the amount cash outs are worth dramatically. There's also many sweaty teams who no longer defend the cash out and focus on playing team deathmatch instead. This proves to be a sufficient and rewarding strategy now that penalties for dying have been significantly reduced and rewards for getting kills are significantly increased. Again, for your average casual player, I think the rule set in World Tour right now is fine and possibly easier to understand. But if this is all we have to base off for a competitive cash out mode, then we've truly not benefited at all from removing ranked cash out in the first place. Ask yourself, why did we remove ranked cash out? I want to emphasize this point 1,000,000 times over. I'm open to all of these World Tour changes and lack of content if we just have a ranked cash out mode alongside Terminal Attack. I still have not heard one developer explain why there is only one cash out mode in the finals right now, and the rules for that mode are constantly changing. Do you know how frustrating this is as a tournament host? If I host a tournament for the finals, I now have to use whatever rules Embark decides for that week, since there's no longer regular cash out in private matches. The only rule set is World Tour, and you cannot edit any of the game rules within private matches. In my view, the current World Tour rule set does not facilitate an exciting spectating experience. It's simply not as competitive and has less nail-biting moments that gets the audience on the edge of their seats. Here's another hurdle Embark is not accounted for. Let's say I announce a cash out tournament today. By the time of the event, the rule set could be entirely different and therefore invalidate the practice and time of many teams, which I thought Oscar said earlier was something Embark was against. In summary, constant changes to the only cash out mode in the finals is not balanced or fair to the players. Another calamity created this season was Emerald rank. It's truthfully mind-boggling me because who is this for? Who did Embark make these skins for? World Tour was made for casual players, so why lock all of the best skins and rewards behind walls that casual players cannot climb? I'm not gonna go over the math, but even if you have an above average win rate in World Tour, you would have to play for like 4+ hours every single day just to get these emerald skins. Granted, the recent changes slightly decrease the required wins in playtime, but if you're as good as someone like Oppo or Straus, this is still ridiculously grindy. I'm a player who loves competition and hit top 500 Season 1 and Season 2. But I am officially giving up on grinding for Emerald. I love to play with my viewers and supporters in my Discord, so unless I ditch everyone and only play with the sweatiest of players, even I cannot get these skins. I definitely have an above average win rate and I'm throwing in the towel on this one. This is exactly why ranked cash out was the one thing missing from Season 3. World Tour is not the optimal way to play cash out, and overall this experience is significantly worse than Season 1 and 2's cash out. Remember when I said I miss 48 player tournaments? One of the reasons is it was 3 rounds of cash out and 1 grand final round of quick cash. I have always been a firm believer that the qualifying rounds are more fun and more competitive than the grand finals. The finals is one of the most strategic FPS games I've played in my life. A game mode that focuses more on wiping an enemy team and not playing the objective is not going to receive as well. Hence why Terminal Attack was a failure before it even was released. That being said, I loved 48 player tournaments because teams that qualified in the first round may not even see each other until the third round, and it created all of these different scenarios that to me felt more competitive and immersive. If you win a tournament of 48 players, it's simply more rewarding than winning a tournament of 24 players. The finals is supposed to take place in a game show, have high stakes, and make you feel like you're truly competing to be the best in front of the sponsors. When you water down the competition and water down the rewards, the finals is simply less of the finals than it was before. So with the current World Tour being only 2 cash out rounds and 1 quick cash round for grand finals, that means 1/3 of all your games aren't even cash out if you're winning. Let's talk about another issue not discussed as often. Let's say you're playing a map like Kyoto. I think moving platforms and suspended structures are fun for the cash out rounds, but play awfully for the grand finals. I'm sure we've all experienced a round of grand finals where it's suspended structures, and effectively the team that first eliminates the other ends up winning the tournament because they get to hold an extremely oppressive high ground and snowball for the remainder of the match. With Kyoto only having 3 variations, this means grand finals have a 2 in 3 chance of being either moving platforms or suspended structures, which are just not optimal in quick cash 3v3. Before Season 3 launched, Embark Dusty said in the Discord that World Tour would bring new map variations along with new ways to play. In my mind, you would think that means new map variations or maybe new in-game events, since every season of the finals has had less in-game events than the prior season. The in-game events still feel lackluster, and I would love to see them get some love from the devs. I don't really care if they're silly and unbalanced or more strategy oriented. Just something new would be nice. This is something I mentioned months ago in my previous State of the Finals video, and we have not had any improvements or additions to the events since. Unless you get low gravity, the game effectively continues as normal. The map Sys Horizon still only has the standard issue, and during Season 2, the developers said the map would get alterations and variants. So overall, World Tour and just the finals in general is supremely lacking in content. Embark has one more elephant in the room that has not been addressed. communication. If you guys are interested in what things have been like for us creators, I recommend checking out my friend Oppo's recent video where he describes some of the reasons creators are quitting. It's a fantastic video where towards the end he discusses some personal experience us creators have had with Embark that have been nothing short of unprofessional at the end of the day. At the end of Season 1, I was personally invited to meet Embark and play with them in an early access Season 2 playtest. It was an absolute blast and amazing experience. Embark was super fun, professional, and just authentic people. I really mean that. I've talked to, seen, and heard from many awful game devs in my life. The people we played with months ago were not in that category. These guys were awesome and just as passionate about the game as we are. They also gave creators direct contact with them for varying topics. I was constantly talking about myth busting with the developers and using it as a way to report and fix bugs. We also discussed things like future content and plans for the game and community. Now, I'm not sure what happened halfway through Season 2, but this all ended immediately. It genuinely feels like a giant meteorite hit Embark Studios and everyone there ceased to exist. I fully understand Embark is busy and cannot respond to all DMs and messages they receive. I wouldn't mention this if that was my complaint. During Season 3, some of the devs asked me to reach out to them on varying issues, only to ghost me yet again. The only conclusion that makes sense to me is that they're super far behind on work and they don't have time for creators or the community right now, especially since their game's numbers are not doing so well. This seems harsh and I don't want to assume the worst, but I have yet to hear anything from Embark publicly or privately. I have tried reporting game-breaking bugs and issues with no response. I have also tried connecting with the devs to better my community tournaments with no response. This is one of the biggest reasons Myth-Busting Mondays and my tournaments took a hard stop. Everything I've laid out in this video is what brought me to the tragic realization that this game is not the finals I fell in love with. I plan to stick around to see Embark hopefully turn this ship around, but they even make that decision difficult for many players like myself. Private matches doesn't have any customization at all, which makes custom games with friends less fun and tournaments less viable. I can't select map variation, change in-game events, or select how many respawn tokens players start with. They still haven't even added back Solo Banquet after removing it months ago, which to me and my friends was the most fun game mode for minigames. These simple additions would dramatically improve custom games with friends and community tournaments. If you're interested in the topic, Thixie recently made a great video going over the state of private matches. There's still no leveling or progression in the game once you hit level 50 or max your battle pass. The weapon and gadget leveling needs a complete overhaul because some weapons do feel rewarding to level up, but others feel literally impossible to max out. The level 7 and 8 weapon skins still feel like an April Fool's joke unless I'm missing something. I mean, what is this? Embark just needs to give players something, even if it's small, for playing or winning. They should let you level up your account way more and just give a small reward every 10 levels or so. These basic changes would at least catch some players from leaving the game and keep them around to see things get better. And if there's a particular reason we haven't received these changes, it would be nice to hear Embark communicate exactly what the thought process is or what progress they're making on other projects. In general, many community concerns and issues with the game could be eased with basic communication. Something I think we all deserve, especially after this disastrous season. If you made it this far, you probably love the finals as much as I do or really miss Seasons 1 and 2. I really appreciate it and hope we can get this input to Embark and see this game thrive once more. Thank you, and I'll see you in the finals.